Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Alicia. Just in case you're new here, I create content around fashion, lifestyle, sewing and DIYs. So if you're interested in this kind of content, which I'm very sure that you are, please do also click on that subscribe button and join this creative gang, okay? And to my returning subscribers, thank you so much for coming back to watch this video. As always, you guys know now you're the real MVP. Anyway, in today's video, I'm going to be recreating this beautiful dress that I made for my sister-in-law for her traditional wedding in December. So the thing was, I couldn't film the process of any of her dresses because you guys know retailers, we cash out in December, right? We always have a lot of orders in December. There was just a whole lot of rush, so I couldn't film any of that process as I usually do. I didn't film any of the process. But anyway, thankfully, a client of mine ordered the same exact dress, not really exact in terms of fabric, but the same style. My sister-in-law wore her third outfit. I'll be leaving that on the screen so you see the dress we're going to be recreating in this video. I'm sure you want to see how I go about, recreating that masterpiece. Okay, so I'm going to be using a brocade fabric just like I used on that dress, as well as every other thing about that dress, like the style from appliques and all that. The panels I'm going to be using as well to recreate that bodice area. Yeah, I'm going to be using something else. We are recreating it, okay? So we're not doing exact everything, but we're using similar stuff to recreate that style. So I'm going to be showing you guys how I went about making that dress. I'm also going to be leaving a lot of tips in this video, so just in case you're interested in seeing this. Oh, by the way, did I mention that was a basque corset? We are going to be using a bustier pattern, but we're going to be building on that bustier pattern to include the whole art of making corsets. Okay, so it's a corset, but we're going to be using the bustier pattern for this particular kind of corset. Okay, so yeah, another thing I would like to note is that I already have a bustier pattern on the channel, so I'm not going to be going from scratch showing you guys the pattern. So I'm going to be building on that bustier pattern I already have on the channel. I'll link that on the screen and also leave it in the description box. Hopefully I don't forget. Yeah, so I'm going to be doing that. And yeah, do well to watch that if you're trying to recreate along with me. Watch that first so that you can get up to speed. And I'm going to be building up on that particular pattern. Okay, so I'm just going to continue from where I left off in that tutorial. Do well to check that out if you're interested. Anyway, let us get right into it because we've got a lot of work to do. Do well to continue watching to see how we go about this recreation. Alright guys, so these are the materials that I'm going to be using for this recreation. I'll show you the main fabrics as well as every other thing. So this is our main fabric here. It's a brocade fabric, as you can see. I don't know if you can see it, but anyway, this is called a brocade fabric. So I'm going to be using this. This is our main fabric. You guys excuse the lighting because I'm trying to minimize the noise in this video, so I shut my windows. But this is the main fabric. I'll show you guys in better lighting later. This is the main fabric, and then I'm going to be using this lining for the dress. So the inner background of this brocade is silver, and I'm also using a silver lining for it. So that's that. I am going to also be using this panel for embellishing the neckline as well as the sleeves of this dress. I'm going to be using bra cups for this dress as well. I got this in a size 40. No, this is a 44 for my in a size 44 for my client. I usually use the size of the bust measurement. So if the bust is 40, I'm going to be getting a cup 40. If the bust is 41, I will get a 42 cup, and so on. Okay, so in between sizes, I go for the next size. I'm going to be using these eyelets for the lacing of this dress, and this is my plastic boning which I'm going to be using. This is a it's less than half and it's more than quarter, so it's in between. It's not a ½ inch boning, but it's less than half. Let's check. So let's use this point. You can see that it just slightly is like a 3/8 of an inch boning. So I'm going to be using this plastic boning for the seams of in between all seams of the upper part of this dress. Also, I am going to be using a tool, a skin colored mesh. So this is the skin colored mesh I'm using for this dress. I already have a tutorial on the channel for how to fix this eyelets, and you'll see the other tools that you need for fixing these eyelets on the channel. I'll probably link it on the screen as well, or in my description box. So I'm going to be continuing on this pattern. This is my front bodice and this is the back bodice. As I said earlier, you can find the rest of it on the channel. So yeah, check what I have done up to this point. I'm going to be continuing from this point right now. The first thing I'm going to be doing is mark my waist to hip measurement. My waist to hip measurement is 10 inches, so I'm going to be marking it from this half length front line. So I'll mark the same 10 inches here as well, my waist to hip measurement. So on this point now, I want to apply my hip measurement, which is 40, and my hip measurement divided by 4 is 10. So I'm going to just mark 10 inches here, as well as mark 10 inches for the back as well. So I'm going to connect this point to this point, and this as well to this for the front. Once I have done that, I am going to be extending my darts downward. So what I'm going to do now is to apply my apex measurement. That's my nipple to nipple measurement here. My nipple to nipple measurement is 7 divided by 2, that's 3.5. I'll mark that here. And on that point, I'm going to come up 2 inches to mark where my dart is going to end. So I'm going to connect these dart lines to this point here. I'll do the same thing for the back as well. 3.5 inches from my back guideline. I'm going to come up 2 inches from that point and then connect my darts to that dot there. Yeah, so I'm done with my darts. So on the hip line here, I'm going to be coming down 2 inches away from my waistline because I want the cinching to come down a bit more after my half length front. So I'm just going to come down 2 inches at this point. I'm doing the same thing on the side as well, 2 inches down. And then for the front, from my half length front to the deepness of the V, I usually use 6 for myself because I'm tall, but if for someone who is shorter, 4 inches will do. And because I want the V to really come out well, I like to use a longer length as against using 4 inches. So this 6 inches now, I'm going to connect it to this point. For a just shorter person, you can use 4 or 5, or you can even measure it on your body, your shoulder to the point where the V depth should end. So you can measure that as well and apply whatever you have there. So I'm just going to curve this with my curve ruler from that point to the 6 inches. For the back, however, I am going to be coming down by 4 inches because I don't want the corset boning to get all the way to my bum. So I'm going to come down to 4 inches and then connect from this 2 inches point to that point as well. So that's that. The next thing I'm going to do is to measure this line because I want to make sure that what I have here is the same as this so that it's balanced. So I'm going to measure the shorter side and then take it off from the longer side. So what I have here is 3/5/8 of an inch, and I'm going to put that here. I hope you guys know what 3/5/8 is, but anyway, but I'm going to show you now on the tape. So that's there. The 3/5/8 on the tape is the point after 3.5. So this is 3/5/8, and that is what I put there, just in case you're wondering what it is. Anyway, so I'm going to just reshape my V to this point so that the 2 points meet. So that's that. So this is where I'm going to be cutting along for my center front. Now I'm going to repeat the same thing on that side as well. So measure the shorter one, which is 2/5/8 real. Apply it here. So it will definitely be different for someone else. It will definitely be different depending on how many inches you are going down. So it's not like a standard measurement or anything. So just measure the line to see what you're taking off. So that's for that other side. Now moving on to the neckline. Also, another thing I would like to note is I'm going to be I'm only going to be showing you the pattern of the bodice. The lower part is basically straightforward. You only have to just take into consideration this V depth and take away how many inches you've taken from here, as well as how many inches is taken from here on the skirt pattern. So that's just the difference basically. So now on the neckline, I'm going to be coming down really deep because it's a sweetheart neck. For my sister-in-law style, really went into up to her half length front, sorry, up to her under bust. But my client doesn't want to show a whole lot of breast, so I'm going to be stopping on the bust line for the deepness of her neck. Then another thing I'll be checking is distance between my bust point and my under bust, which is 3 inches. I'm going to mark that 3 inches right up on close to this dart here. So this 3 inches is how high I'm going to be having my neck depth. So I'm going to, in a curve, using a curve ruler, I'm going to curve it up to this point. These 3 inches I marked here right now. And I'm going to reconnect this into the armhole. Remember that we're going to be having a yoke, a skin mesh yoke for this one. So I'm not going to be doing anything drastic per se for this. So I'm just going to reconnect this to the armhole. So I'm having like a tube and I'm going to have the yoke. The only thing I'm going to be using this for right now is to, you know, close up the dart so that I can have exact pattern for my mesh. This is my front mesh anyway. So another thing I can also do is to confirm the length from this my neckline. Check what I have here. I have 3/1/8 of an inch. That's the line, the first stroke after 3 inches. And on this other side, I have 3/3/8. So I'm going to just apply that 3/3/8 on this other side because I don't want my neckline to come further down. So I'm just going to take the longer length and apply it back on this first line here. So I have that point right there. So I'm going to reshape my neckline to that point. Just like that. So that's where I'm going to be cutting along for my sweetheart neck. So now I'm done with the front pattern. I'm going to now move on to the back. We're going to be shaping the back bodice as well for the neckline. So I remember there's a mesh as well on the back. So I'm going to determine how deep I want my back to be. I like low backs, but because it's a corset and I want it to really cinch me well, I try not to exceed the chest, the bust line, which is this point. So I'm going to just connect from my armhole here down to that point. So that becomes my new back. I'm just going to continue with this dart upwards in a straight line like that because I'm going to be paneling it up, remember that. And another thing I'm going to do for this back is to come in 1 inch on this line. I'm just going to come in 1 inch because I want my back not to be too fitting, so that I can have, you know, I don't want it to be exactly my body size, so that I can have the modesty panel inserted and so that I can still see that happening there in case I want to show my back or whatever, or cover it up with the modesty panel. Anyway, so this is where I'm cutting along for the center back. I'm just extending that 1 inch upwards. So this is my center back panel. This is my side back. While this is my side front. And this is my center front. I'm only putting these arrows so that we don't mix up the direction it's supposed to go, especially for the back panels that you can't really tell outrightly. So next thing I'm going to do is to create my back yoke line. I want my yoke not to be a round neck like the front, so I'm just going to take it down in a slant to this point where the joining is, but I try not to go so close to this point so that it doesn't really interfere with my boning when I'm fixing in that boning panel. So I'm just going to go away about ½ inch from that line where my center back panel will be ending. So that's going to be my yoke. So this is my back yoke, back mesh or yoke. And this is my front yoke. So that is that for this pattern. We're done with the pattern. I'm going to cut it out and show you guys what we're going to be working with. Another thing I'd like to note, I did mention at the beginning, is for a corset you want to reduce your waist measurement. So if you really want a cinched corset, then you have to take away some inches from your corset. I usually take at least 2 inches away from the waist measurement, but if you can do up to 4, the more you take away, the more cinched, and you know, if you don't like it to be super tight, it's best to just leave it at 2 so that you can breathe. Okay. So guys, these are the panels I've cut out for my client. This is the center front, the side front. This is the side back, and the last one right there is the center back. And then I also went ahead to stick the front yoke of the mesh to the back yoke, and I cut 2 layers of this. This is how it is. I'm turning this in together with the second layer that I cut out, and then I'll be joining the front bodies to this part and then the back bodies to that. This piece I cut right here is the sleeve, the draped sleeve. I'm going to be using this. I cut 2 pieces of this, and I'm going to be using it for the draping on the sleeve. I'm going to be checking the length on the fabric, and I'm cutting off the excess. I just cut enough, then I'm going to cut off the excess when I'm joining it. Let's go over to the skirt. So yeah, I had to lay this down here so that you can get the full view. This is the front, and that's the back. You can notice that at the back I flared it out. I flared it out on the zip side, so that's the zip side over there, and I flared it out on that side, made it longer on that end as well, just to have a little bit of train, and then curved it back to the length on the front flare. So as you can see, this is the front, and it's equal on the sides. This is the side, that's the hip side, and that is the train in the back. This long piece of fabric that I cut out, so I'm going to be using it for the draping in front of the skirt. One more thing about this front bodies, I have my center front on 2 pieces. So I'm going to have a joining here, because my boning is going to be going on all joinings on all the joinings. I'm going to be having boning here, boning here, boning here, boning here, and as well as the last bit, I'm going to also have boning there. So there's boning all through every seam line I'm having, and I left a 3/4 inch allowance on these 2 sides. But for the lower part and the top part, the joining there is still the regular 1/2 inch allowance I put. I've already gone ahead to interface it, and that's why you're seeing this white background here. I interfaced this, and this is the lining. No interfacing. I'm using suit lining. I think I showed that already. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start making this dress. didn't show you guys the sleeves because I didn't remember to cut it. Yes, I later went ahead to cut it now, and this is it. I made sure to cut my mesh on the stretchy side so that to end up being very fitted. And yeah, I didn't use the exact bicep measurements and round measurements of the sleeves because it's stretchy and it needs to be fitted. This one right here is the yoke for the front and the back. Remember that I didn't cut it separately, so I don't have a joining on the shoulder, which I prefer, but feel free to do what you like. This is me. I don't like to have that joining here, so I just have my neck turned in. Remember, I cut 2 layers. Focus. So yeah, I cut 2 layers and I turned the neckline and then trimmed off the excess. I have just this tiny allowance inside there, and I also still notched it on the inside so that it relaxes well. So I put these pins also around to just hold it together. You know, it's 2 layers and I don't want it to shift. So I'm going to go ahead now and attach the front bodice as well as the back one before I insert my boning and finish up with the dress. Once you have taken in your bust, turn your bust tightening, there's nothing that I want to press your breast. The boning cannot press your breast. You get. So the boning is running. The pictures now went to now. It's not on your phone. The boning is running all the way, even on the bustier side. The boning is running all the way to the neckline. The breast, when the breast fits into this cup now, it will still stand. It will still contain the breast because you've created that breast pocket already, so the boning won't even press it anyway. Yeah, what? Don't be doing nonsense. I don't like nonsense. So guys, this is the drape for the front. I've gone ahead to do some pleating on the edge, and it's really long all the way to the ground. So I'm going to be doing the rest of the pleating once I have joined this part to the skirt, the front of the skirt first. So if I join the sides of the skirt side of the skirt part of this dress, I'm going to be inserting this on one side first before joining the sides. So I'm going to do the rest of the pleating. I'll tack it on the body when I am done joining the sides. Also, one more thing, I forgot to insert the draping for the sleeve. So I'm going to this is the neckline here. I'm just going to loosen this bit a little bit up to this point to insert the draping that is going to go from this side to the other side. I forgot to do that, but I'm going to just rip here just a little bit where I'm going to insert the draping. So this is my skirt, the front of my skirt. I'm going to attach the draping on the sides first. So I have fixed the lower part of the on this skirt. The next thing I want to do now is to turn in the lining. The back is still open. I'm going to be using a zipper for this one up until the waistline, and then the rest of this will have our boning channels, our eyelet channels, and I'll still have to put in the boning in between the eyelets as well. So that's the lining. I have fixed in the lower part of the lining to the bodice, as you can see. Yeah, so that's the back piece. I haven't joined the zip side the same way with the front, with the main fabric, and I have also inserted my modesty panel in here on the last panel for the back. So that's it. I'm going to use this to cover the back, her back, if she doesn't want to show her skin. So we are at this point now where I have turned the lining. If you're interested in seeing how to fully close your clothes, I already have a video on my channel, you can check that out. So I didn't show that process. Anyway, I fully turned this lining. I'm going to iron, and once I'm done ironing, I'll be doing the last thing. So this is what we're looking at like right now. Once I'm done ironing, I'm going to be adding my final boning channels here for the eyelets. I am trying to drape. First of all, excuse the noise in the background. I'm trying to drape the I'm trying to do the draping right now. I just want to show you guys how I go about doing it. So guys, it's the morning after. The last time I showed you guys, I was trying to do the placement for the panel. I'm done with this. I switched up the panel placement because of the style of the panel itself, so I couldn't do exactly what I did for my sister-in-law as well. Oh yeah, I'm done with this. I also put some on the sleeves, just like my sister-in-law has as well. So that's the one on the sleeve, and the dress is looking magnificent. Like it's looking beautiful. The fabric, the panels, everything about this dress. I love the fact that the brocade, this particular brocade, has a thickness to it that makes the stand better, unlike the one I used for my sister-in-law, which was a bit softer. This is the full thing. It's so beautiful. I really love this dress.